I never would have thought that I would have enjoyed classics. Sorry.
No, it's fun.
But I truly have.
Well, it's good to hear.
So you're all at the point in your life where you're going to have to make decisions, big decisions. If you're not there yet, you'll be there very fast, right? If you're a first-year student, you think, I have oceans of time, and then one day, and then suddenly you blink your eyes and you're a senior and someone says to you, John, what are you going to do for a living? You're like, God damn, I don't really know. And it's like, well, you should be a consultant. And you think, maybe. Or you should go to medical school. And you think, maybe. And he's like, you should go to law school. And you think, no, law school's out, huh? Yeah. Well, lawyers are getting a bad rap today, Jake. Suddenly you have to make all these big decisions, right? And then you have this job, and then suddenly my experience has been pretty consistently from my own life, is that suddenly, and from seeing a lot of alums, you get in your sort of mid to late 20s, and suddenly you're like, people expect you to get married. You know how many times I talked about my mother when I was like 25 or 26? He's like, what's wrong with her? Why don't you marry her? Like, there's nothing wrong with her. So like, why don't you get married? Like, I don't want to get married. But you know that happened? I met my wife. You know how long we dated? After
3 months?
Like 2 weeks, and I proposed. It was completely stupid. But it worked out. It was the best decision I ever made, right?
A lot of pressure from mom, I don't know.
You should have seen the scene when I told my mom. Because we'd been dating like 2 weeks. I'm like, we're getting married. She's like, what? All these decisions are going to be big decisions, right? And so if you're going to make these decisions well, you want to know what's going on. And when we studied the Greeks and Romans, some stuff is pragmatic. Greeks and Romans, you could decide we want to study them because they have a big influence on the way we do things. And it's going to help you with the cross-cultural competency stuff. But the more profound reason is that when we study other people, the Greeks or the Romans or the French in the 18th century or the Incas, it doesn't make any difference. When we study them in a serious way, we understand their culture, at least at some level, and in understanding their culture, we understand our culture better, and understanding our culture helps us understand ourselves better, and we make better. And the hope is that when that's all said and done, we make better decisions about what to do with our lives. And that's why this makes sense, right? I should say, can I get this to go back? This is from a medieval historian. This is advice for his French colleagues. So he said, live in London for a year and you won't learn much about England, but you'll learn a lot about France. You see because you have distanced yourself. Past and present illuminate one another reciprocally. In other words, his point is that if you're French, going to live in London for a year is profoundly helpful and getting you to understand what it means to be French. Yeah. And so that's the upshot. One of the best ways to learn about your culture and hence yourself, your identity is your culture, is to study another culture. And that's why this thing makes sense, right? I'm intensely pragmatic, and I studied the Greeks and Romans, right? Because I want to make good decisions about my life. And I think that when you study the Greeks and Romans seriously, it equips you better to make good decisions. Okay. That's everything you always wanted to know about that stuff. That's why we do it, and this is what we're going to do as we unfold over the course of the semester.